The goal for the day is simple. I want to create a mobile game. Now I have no experience and no idea where to start. And typically this process would require boot camps and understanding code and functions and watching all sorts of YouTube videos. It could take months, but I want to see if I can do it in under 24 hours using AI. Let's start with the basics. Can ChatGPT just create this app for me? No, it cannot. Let's back up. So ChatGPT is basically just a really cool search engine with some awesome features, which means I can get the steps that I need to actually create the app by asking it, I downloaded Unity and want to create a 2D infinite runner game. What steps do I need to take? So let's break those down into some basic terminology. Design, set up project, import assets, set up the scene, create player character, obstacles, test, and export. Before we can get started, we need a design and concept for this game. Here's the idea. It's a 2D infinite runner, and this little block will have obstacles thrown in its way that it needs to jump over. Over time, the speed picks up and the obstacles get much more difficult to work through. If the block gets hit by this obstacle, it's pushed off the screen and the game is over. So with the design out of the way, the next step is to talk about some of the resources that we'll be using. For the framework, we'll be using Unity, which is where we'll actually build our game and import our assets. And then on the other side, for the backend, we'll be using Visual Studio Code. Both are easy to access and easy to download, and with a combination of the two, we can add scripts to our game. Scripts are the behavior components that are made up of C# code that give us more control. For our game, this will be used to set the gravity, to create the controls, and to set our limits. And if you have any questions, you can just ask ChatGPT. Okay, now it's time to launch Unity and create our project. I chose the basic 2D game template, however there's also a 2D mobile template, which probably would have led to quicker and better results in the end. Next, we need to import our assets. It's important that these are separated when you export them, so here's my background, here's my character, and then to build out the scene, we just start placing them on the screen here. So now that we have the design and the basic scene build down, let's go back to ChatGPT and get our first script. Example script for a character sprite in Infinite Runner 2D Unity mobile game. This is where ChatGPT comes in handy. Learning to write this would have taken many hours, and ChatGPT just did it for me. So we just created a new script inside Unity, copied the script ChatGPT gave us, and voila. Oh, there's problems here. It's frustrating watching this back because a lot of my future problems could have been solved had I just paid attention to the details of what ChatGPT was asking me to do rather than just taking the script and dumping it in. So while I could go into detail on how I solved this issue, that's not the point of this video. So here are all the prompts that I put into ChatGPT that led me to the right answer. Imagine typing this into Google. It would give you an infinite supply of wrong answers. ChatGPT, though, can reference a previous statement and just keep running with it. Okay, so long story short, all we needed was a ground object and a ground script, and now instead of falling through the map, it just lands on top. Let's go. Seeing progress like this is what makes you just want to push on. Okay, let's see if it jumps. Well, it jumps once, but that's not very helpful if we're gonna have multiple obstacles. We need it to jump indefinitely. It can only jump once as character. Remember when I said this earlier? A lot of my future problems could have been solved had I just paid attention to the details. Yeah, so I spent about an hour trying to solve this problem. I had ChatGPT write me all sorts of new scripts. At some point, I just thought ChatGPT didn't know what it was talking about and it was just breaking it over and over. But no, it had previously asked me to add a ground tag, which solved our issue. Next up, obstacles. ChatGPT. Now it's really starting to come together. I also went ahead and added the ground tag to the obstacles so that the little cube can jump and land on it, and it just kind of works the same as it did on the ground. This right here is the game. The final touches were to add a menu by adding a new scene, some scripts from ChatGPT, and a button object. It took about 8 hours total for development. What this all comes down to is that ChatGPT is not a solution, but yet a tool to guide us in the right direction. There will always be challenges when it comes to learning something new, and we've seen that time and time again on this channel, whether it was the lock picking or the curving the cue ball, but those challenges are what makes it fun to try new things.